Dana's asked, and she said, I struggle with creating an overall cohesive look. How do I select proper accessories to match the feel of a look? For example, what handbag styles with casual versus dressy outfits? So this comes back to those principles of coordination. So when we're thinking about how do I put an outfit together, there are a few different principles of coordination we can look at. So we have got the principle of volume. So that is, I wear something voluminous with something slim. So we don't want to wear two voluminous garments at the same time because that tends to overwhelm our bodies. So that's one of the principles of coordination. We have what we call related shapes. So this is looking at the shapes of the different elements of what you're putting together. And so therefore you might say, if I have a structured, dressier, a blazer, and something that's more structured, a little bit more dressy in that way, maybe I want a more structured handbag. Versus when I'm thinking about casual, it's maybe softer in its appearance. It hasn't got the shoulder pads, it hasn't got the structure. So therefore I might think about a softer fabric or a softer construction. So a bucket bag instead of a squared off tote. So those would be two things we're thinking about, related shapes. We can also think about, when we're thinking about textures. So when we think about casual, it is more relaxed. It might be more textured. It might be kind of furrier, or like say this is more relaxed. It's got more texture through it. So therefore I might look for a handbag that is made from a fabric rather than a smooth polished leather. So a patent leather which is smooth, it's polished, it's shiny. That is a much more formal leather than suede, which is at the other end, which is textured and soft and matte. So they are, so just looking at that level of refinement, like smoother, shinier, more structured, more formal, softer, more matte, more, more textured is less formal, more casual. So we can think about fabric versus, like a canvas, even versus a satin. So a satin handbag is it's smoother and shinier, so going to be more formal, versus a canvas is rougher in texture and it is more matte, it is thicker, it is heavier, it is more casual. So whenever I'm thinking about that, that is just one of the, principles of coordination are such useful principles when we're thinking about how do I put different things together? What goes together? So this is why a thick opaque tight works better with a more casual or thicker fabric rather than say satin, which works better with a finer, tights, or maybe even a sheen finish on your tights. So all those things are related to these principles of coordination. And when you understand them, you can really use them to help you think about putting outfits together and what will work together. Now, we can play with that. The more creative you are, the more we can kind of go outside and break a few rules. And if we want to dress something up or dress something down, we can also use these principles where if I want to dress up a more casual outfit, I might have a more structured handbag. But I'm not going to probably potentially take a small evening clutch bag. That's too far away. But I could take a more structured, smooth, polished leather. So we can think about dressing up and down. And this is why if I want to dress something down, this is why the denim jacket's going to dress down my more formal dress. That's going to kind of bring it down a level of refinement. Or I could have a, kind of a nylon tote instead of a leather, smaller handbag. That will also dress it down a bit. So it's thinking about fabrics, it's thinking about style, it's thinking about structure, and it's thinking about how do I put these things together in a way that I can use. Now, the more creative you are, the more you will break the kind of rules as such. And remember, they're all just guidelines because that is an expression of your creativity. So if you are more rebellious, you're more edgy, you are going to want to kind of put things together that traditionally haven't been going together. If you're more traditional though, or more classic in your style, that will feel really uncomfortable and you will feel much more comfortable matching the shoes and the handbag, which for someone who's creative feels like the completely wrong thing to do. It feels too conservative. So it's always thinking about what is right for you. So there is no one set of rules. And this is why the more you understand, the more you have an education in all the principles of color and style, then you can make the decisions that are right for you, because there's no one right way. And if somebody is telling you that there's one right way, I say ignore them, because they are trying to limit you from expressing your authentic style, your personality, your uniqueness, what makes you you. And this is where I think it's really important in this AI world where everything can become a bit homogenous. It's standing out, it's being you, it's being different. Being more you is going to be what sets you apart and makes you an interesting and a real human. Lean into your quirks, lean into the interesting stuff that makes you the human that you are.